No, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Faces Friday. I'm Jacob Hackett. My guest today is a friend of Faces for Autism. She was one of my co-hosts for the Faces for Autism Love streaming telethon this past March. I don't know if we're doing another one this coming March. There's been talk of it. Uh, she was the nighttime anchor for News Channel 40 NBC for at least 10 years or more. She has worked with Thread. She sings. She ran for Miss New Jersey. Liz, I could go on and on and on. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a friend of Faces, a friend of mine, Michelle Mooney.
Hi, Jacob. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was a wonderful introduction. I should have you go around with me wherever I go. You made me feel really good there.
I'd be happy to go around with you. So, Michelle, since we have viewers from New Jersey and all over the world, tell people that don't know you, tell people, where did you start? I mentioned Miss New Jersey in the open.
Mhm.
So tell people a little bit about you. Where'd you start?
Well, it's interesting because I did not expect to be in the career that I ended up in. Since I was 3 or 4, I wanted to be in the medical field. So pushed through junior high, freshman year, sophomore year, I was looking into physical therapy, and then I landed on chiropractic. So I wanted to be a chiropractor, and I planned to go to Stockton because it was, close, and I was going to transfer over to Palmer Chiropractic School in Iowa. So I flew out to Iowa, visited the school, and the Miss America system offered not only scholarships to people who were studying pre-med, but they also offered a full scholarship to Palmer Chiropractic School if you won Miss New Jersey. So I'm like, well, that's it. I want to do that. So I need to win Miss New Jersey, and then I'll win a full scholarship to Palmer Chiropractic School. So a funny thing happened. I planned to do 2 years at Stockton, and Stockton, was a great school. It still is a phenomenal school. It's a university now, but planned to do 2 years there and then switch over. So what happened kind of as a fluke, I got a job in radio. My mom saw an ad in paper for an on-air position at a radio station. I went there, their news person was leaving. They asked me to come back for an audition, and they offered me a job the day I auditioned. And they said, do you want to do this for the morning show? And I said, okay. I had no idea what I was doing. I'd never taken a communication course. So that was it. That was the turning point. And I just did that kind of to pay for school. But in my 4th year of college, because I kind of extended my college career a little bit, I changed my major pre-med to communications, and here I am. So I went from a couple of radio stations. I ended up with a TV station with NBC 40. I was there for 15 years, actually. Yeah, long time. And it was a wonderful experience. And now I've pushed away from news, and I'm able to work on more positivity and promoting the good stuff that happens in our world, which, while I love doing the news, it's hard. It's hard to talk about all the bad stuff. So yeah, so I'm in a great place now. I've never been happier. I do miss a lot of my friends that I work with in the news business, but I'm happy to be flipping the switch and doing more of the positive stuff now.
Yeah, Michelle, and especially, and I'm going to try and veer away from the negativity. In a world like today, when there is so much violence, you and I doing these Faces Fridays and doing what you're doing is what we need to spread more of. Brighter lights need to be shined because there's not enough of it. And I have to say, I really shout out to another friend of ours and a friend of Faith's, Nick Pittman, for having me be involved with all of you at SNJ, because uh, it was the news, but it was positivity, and and as we were saying, you don't get that very often down here anymore because we don't have a local news station.
Yeah, yeah. And I really think that now more than ever, I made the decision to completely walk away from news a few years ago, but especially the last year and a half or 2 years, it's never been as concrete in my mind that I made the right decision because I've been very, very blessed. I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but my best friend growing up said, I've never seen anything like this. I was so blessed that when I got the first job at the radio station, the jobs kind of came to me. So then I was offered another job at another station, and I went to work at WAYV, and then I went to work at WBSS. And every time, I thought something was coming to an end, I would have another door open or window. And, then I got into television with the news, and I was offered some other jobs as well, and the ability to go to bigger markets and more money and more prestige, I guess you could say. But I've always been South Jersey, home and grown, and wanted to stay here. But the biggest aspect of not only me wanting to stay here, but doing things, even when it came to the hard news, doing it in a way that it was done differently. It was done with a little bit more compassion. Not that we had kid gloves when I worked at 40, or with SNJ, you mentioned how, which I loved, they wanted to push the positivity. We need that now more than ever, and it is out there. And I think the sad part is, which I see a little bit of a trend, where you have some of your nightly news broadcasts, some other entities are doing more positivity. They're throwing it in, and they're having different segments that showcase more of the good, not just the bad. But we have to be reminded that there's a lot of beauty in this world. There are amazing people doing amazing things, but what often happens is that it just gets pushed out because of that immense force of negativity that we see on a lot of the media. Not all. So 100%, I am in agreement with you. Now more than ever, we have got to have those lights shine brighter on the positivity, because if not, I mean, just from our emotional, mental, and physical standpoint, it's like you go crazy, like thinking about all the things that are wrong in the world. We have to shift our focus. It's good to be informed. We have to know what's going on, obviously. It's imperative that we know what's going on in our world and our communities, but at the same time, we have to kind of take that with a grain of salt, and not just have this whole negative disposition on the whole world being as bad as we're told it is sometimes. So you're doing a great thing, Jacob. And of course, Faces for Autism and Life on the Bright Side. And, every little bit helps. Every little bit helps get more of that positivity and more of those lights out there.
Yeah, and I give credit to Isabel because I think Life on the Bright Side was started right when we all needed it. We were knee deep in a pandemic. Nobody knew from day one to day two what was going on.
Yeah.
For that year, we lived our lives in, I don't want to say in fear, but it's hard not knowing, okay, what's tomorrow going to bring? Because you know as well as I do, and I remember it clear as day. I was at Atlantic County Special Services. I was in school. I was in the board office, working as an intern in there, and the next day we were gone. There was no working in there. I mean, we got to communicate with teachers, therapists, and so on, but there was no working in the board office. The last time I went back to school was to graduate, which and we're seeing each other on video calls like this. It was nice and all, but nobody knew. Okay, one day you're going to school, tomorrow starts a pandemic, and now your world's upside down.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, even I remember I had interviewed, I've become, thankfully, I'm happy to say that I've become friends with her, but she is the founder of the Stress Institute in Atlanta, Georgia, Dr. Kathleen Hall. And she's just a phenomenal, phenomenal person, beauty inside and out. And I brought her on one of my shows after the quarantine kind of went into play, just to talk about the emotional level of not only what we as adults were dealing with, but for the children as well, because you have children that they're not in school, they don't understand necessarily why, they can't see their friends, they also don't understand why. So not only, what the adults were having to take in, but then how they deal with that with their children. And stress has become such an epidemic, and you saw those stress levels. I mean, you say you don't want to say that we were in fear, but I don't think anybody was really avoiding that word. We all had a little bit of that fear and trepidation just because it was the unknown. You just don't know. So as you said, Isabel she's done amazing work, as we both know, having known her for so long, and what she's done with Faces for Autism and now Life on the Bright Side. But this could not have come at a better time, pushing out that positive agenda. It's helped so many people and just brought our community around the world. I say community as a broad statement, because you don't have to live directly where we are to have that community vibe. And it's just been so helpful and full of love and bringing people together.
Yeah, and that's why Michelle, she came to me after the telethon and said, keep it going because people need it. And I said, you know what? People do need it. And I mean, I'm certainly going to, I've been thinking and looking and seeing who would be good to have on. And I've looked, and actually, I'm going to contact Miss Pennsylvania. She actually is studying autism uh, and disability. So I think I'm going to reach out to her after Miss America and see what she has. But like we said, you need positivity because we lived in a world where no one knows.
Yeah, it's true. And I've heard, and you've probably heard this coined as well, that fear, you can think of it as standing for false evidence appearing real. And, sometimes I catch myself thinking about that. And there's a Bible verse. My faith has always been really important to me. And I think of, for God did not give us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. But it's really hard to not let your mind go in so many different directions when you're faced with some pretty scary stuff, and as you said, you don't know what's happening tomorrow. We don't know what's happening tomorrow or the next day or next week or what have you. So all the more reason that we need to just keep our spirits up and keep that positivity going.
So, and I don't even know this, Michelle. After you left the news, where was your next step? Because I follow you, but we like lost touch. Like after you left the news, like I'm like I wonder where she went, and then I saw you landed at Town Square for a while.
Yeah, I did a radio show there that I did middays with Michelle, and it was awesome. I loved it. It was Monday through Friday. It was 2 hours a day where I would interview celebrities and professionals and philanthropists that were national, local, even world renowned, and just got to talk about some really cool stories. They would share some success and share different things that they were a part of. I really wanted to promote the charitable aspect because I love seeing people that are really giving back and getting more people on the train to kind of help out. So then I got back into TV for a brief stint, which I had to give up the radio show, and then that ended. So then it was a lot of soul searching the last couple of years because, as I said, I've been very fortunate, very blessed to have a lot of opportunities given to me, even at the start of my career at NBC 40, where I was given a couple of offers and would always turn them down because I wanted to stay local. Briefly, I wanted to be a singer-songwriter in Nashville. So I'm like, well, I don't want to do news anyway. I want to be a singer-songwriter. That didn't pan out, but I still thankfully am able to do music here and there. But I just wanted to really do soul searching to find out, do I want to stay in news or do I want to move away from that? And it was hard for me in a way because I've always felt very responsible in some ways to the area where it was my duty to keep them informed, even though NBC 40 had closed. There wasn't any other local stations where I needed to keep that connection and do my part to help fill that void that I knew we had. And then I finally came to a point where I think with the changing media, because people can now get headlines, with their phone. It's not like it was in old NBC 40 days. Between that and people getting better access to news, and the feeling that I feel like I could be of more use in this capacity, that's when I kind of started venturing into okay, I'm officially leaving news. So that's what I did. And I've had a lot of fun, kind of working on some behind the scenes projects. I've actually got into some consulting work and social media for some companies, but it's always with a positive spin. So now I have a podcast. It's called Michelle Dawn Mooney Conversations, where I get to interview celebrities and professionals and philanthropists and talk about their success stories, and more importantly to me, what they're passionate about. So for instance, rock and roll Hall of Famer Daryl DMC McDaniels from Run DMC.
Oh,
And
wow.
he's
Wow.
amazing, first of all, just amazing guy. And he talks about how he almost took his own life, and how, what we see as a rock star, we think it's all just fabulousness, and how he really struggled with things. So he now talks to groups and has written a book to help other people that may be going through that. He's also adopted. He found out he was adopted in his 30s. And now he has a foundation that works specifically with foster kids to help enrich their lives. So to me, that's like the biggest, awesome part of being able to not only connect with some of these people, but to learn what makes them tick and to see these amazing things that they're able to do with their stories.
Yeah, and especially that, to find out you're in your 30s, you've been adopted no less, had no idea.
Mhm.
I mean, that's what's inspiring. And I mean, your podcast sounds awesome. I've tuned in. Michelle Dawn Mooney Conversations. You can find that on, where was I, Apple Podcast or Spotify. I think I found you on.
I think you can find it on any place you can find podcasts. It should be there. And if it's not, let me know.
Okay, okay, I will let you know. I mean, you know, I, like I said, like I've tried, like I've gone to schools. I'm trying to become an advocate for special needs because there's none of that either.
Yeah.
Like you need someone like Isabel and I to say no, that's physically impossible. Well, not physically impossible, but that can't be done, or this can be done. Work around it.
And you know what, Jacob? Like, how inspiring for people to see you and to see what you're doing, and for people to say, you know what? I might not even have as many limitations or as many things in my way, or it's hard. It's hard in the business world, especially if you're trying to make things happen, not only from there's not enough presentation here, but just getting a hold of people. I mean, there's just a lot to any type of business or what have you. But to hear your story and to say, you know what, I'm going to keep doing this, I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to find ways to work around things and make things happen. And just what you said, there's not a lot of representation for that specific group and for that specific topic that you are so passionate about, obviously, and that you could make such a difference. I think that's just the best thing for me to see when I feel this is an immediate product of promoting that positive outlook. When you have people get aha moments that they realize, wait a minute, maybe there's something more I can be doing. And we take the focus off of ourselves and we see where we can fill in those holes. And it's amazing when we find those opportunities, and you found it, like you're doing it. You are filling this void that wasn't there before Jacob did this podcast and before you're doing other things, and I love that. And I think that's just the coolest thing, that we start talking about how do we make the world better? Yes, we have bad things that are going on. We cannot deny it, but it doesn't mean we can't make it better. And that really comes down to individually, each of us can do that, but collectively, my gosh, what can we do if we're working together, right?
Yeah, Michelle, we can, if we work together, we can get things done. And that's always how I felt. And and as I said to you before we started, I you you have to people have to learn not to take things for granted, because I've never taken a single opportunity for granted and say, oh, I don't know if I'll ever get to do this. No, I've enjoyed every opportunity and lived your life. That's the way you're supposed to live your life.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen. Fast forward, I mean, maybe we could collaborate on a few projects, possibly, because we're both in the same category. I'll send you my like what I'm doing with the podcasting and all things later. But you know what? Like we've said, there needs to be someone that can say, "Oh, if you need help, I'll help you." And that's why we said there needs to be more advocates, more people shining brighter things on the disability community, because there's not. Like I'll tell you honestly and openly, I'm looking to get back to work now that the pandemic is at a safer level than we were last year. But but like so many people don't understand what it's like. So then you have to teach them, how does it work?
Mhm.
And then I think eventually the light bulb or it clicks.
Yeah. Well, I've heard somebody say to me that if you're really looking to, and especially if you're talking about from a business standpoint, and this was used in the context of becoming a more successful business person with, income attached. So if you're looking to really up your game professionally, you look outside the box, you throw out the box. But if you're really looking to be a major game changer, you create your own box. And everything you just said to me, Jacob, the need that is there, that I can recognize as well, but not nearly as clearly as you can, with that section of people that are being underserved, or information that is not there, or it's not put out like it should be, that knowledge that needs to be pushed out to more people. Maybe you need to go and create the box. So if there's nothing there, maybe you should be the one to start it. You should
Yeah,
create that, whatever it is, to start getting that ball rolling.
yeah, because, and this is sad, and I told Isabel this, but I've had I've had phone conversations and interviews like this for positions, and like they don't understand it. Like I say, I can't work those hours. I can't work overnights. It has to be between this frame and this frame. Like they don't understand, even if you try to explain all the time.
Yeah. I can only imagine, Jacob. I can only imagine. But I will tell you this: my husband always says this to me, and he's a leadership guy, so he works with a lot of different companies, and some larger companies with this too. Never underestimate the power of your story. So everything that you are unfortunately having to go through and have gone through, the fact that I think you can agree that this has only made you stronger and probably more determined to say, you know what? Not that you're making me mad, but you're going to make me want to prove you wrong and make me work even harder to get where I know that I can be, even though you can't see, to work with me to make that happen. And then on top of that, you've got this incredible story that keeps growing and growing, growing, that's going to help more and more people, which is really an awesome thing.
And that is why, that is, thank you. And that is why, friends, that is why we're here. We're here to tell our stories. That is why Michelle, myself, and so many others worked very hard for about 2 months on end, putting together a telethon, which, as funny, that was a lot of fun, but that took a lot of work and a lot of preparation.
Yeah, people have no idea what goes into something like that. And God bless Isabel for all the hard work everybody put in. But she
Yes.
specifically, I mean, she was a workhorse with that effort. And it's just amazing what she was able to do with, and she is continuing to do with the Faces movement and Life on the Bright Side. And she actually, we joined forces kind of collectively with a new project that I recently launched, because I don't think I have to tell you the popularity of Hallmark during the Christmas months. Everybody,
No, you don't.
Hallmark Christmas movies. So I love them. I'm an addict, and we actually did a Hallmark movie watch party on my Facebook page, and it was kind of a pre-party before one of the premieres. And one of my friends, who's actually a business colleague, but she's also a dear friend of mine, and she said, you should start a group for the people that love Hallmark. And there are so many of us out there, whether or not they want to admit it right away, but they're out there. So I started a group that I wanted to be something that could be positive, would be kind of Hallmark centric, with that positive, just makes you feel good type of thing. But I didn't want it to be limited to just, the Christmas season, because I'm a big believer in all year round we can celebrate. And some of you who know me well know that I'm ridiculous when it comes to silly holidays. So if it's donut day, or I can't even think, have a picnic outside day, or, eat hamburgers on the front porch day, whatever holiday it is, and there's a holiday for every day.
There's
I
a holiday today, probably.
There totally is. And actually, what is it? I just, tomorrow's Brownie Day. So keep that in mind. There is another good holiday today for food, but Brownie Day is tomorrow. So I definitely want to push that out there, because I love brownie. Well, we don't know when this is going to air, so maybe it's not tomorrow, but it's in the month of December. So I came up with an idea called Hallmark 365. So basically, it's the concept of every day we can celebrate like it's a holiday, regardless if it's one of those silly holidays. But that's how we need to treat our lives. Like every day we really have here is a gift. So it's Hallmark 365. And we started this group on Facebook, and Isabel's a member now. And for the watch party, she put together a wonderful, which I'm sure you can find on the website or on her Facebook page, a wonderful kind of compilation of really fun things connected to Hallmark that you can do around the holidays. And there's a drinking game, and I think there's recipes, and there's a TV movie watching list, and there's bingo, and there's a Hallmark Christmas movie workout. So we were able to share that. I shared that on my Hallmark Christmas movie watch party, and we kind of joined forces there, because it's all about promoting the positive, so yeah, it's just so much fun. It's so much fun.
I love it. And what else? I know you mentioned the Hallmark. When what else are you doing besides all that good stuff?
Well, I'm doing the podcast, doing Hallmark 365. We just launched, so we've got a few things trickling out before the end of the year. Some, holiday goodness, and share some posts there. But really looking at 2022 to get that up and rolling, and get some really cool content out there. And it's going to be exciting to see. I know the ideas that I have now that we're kind of getting together, but yeah, we're going to be hitting that a little harder in 2022. I'm excited about some of the podcasts that I have coming up. We've done some really cool guests I think have been amazing, and they just have wonderful stories. And then on my website, michelledawnmooney.com, that's kind of a compilation of everything that you can find, whether it's podcasting or whether it's the Hallmark group. Just doing a lot of really fun things. I'm getting back into music a little bit, so I'm working on some projects there. Been in the studio here and there. The last, even with COVID, it's been a little hard, but um, that's always been a passion, with the music. So I'm just I feel like I'm in a very good place in my life. I'm always so thankful, as you say, like you never take for granted the opportunities that you've been given. And I feel like I'm in an amazing place in my life that I can really pick and choose what I love doing. I'm doing some consulting and kind of social media marketing for some companies, and um, everything has like the common denominator of its good stuff, working on positivity and promoting people in a good way. So I'm just really enjoying it. I'm very, very happy, very, very blessed.
Yes, and so am I. And if you would like me on Michelle Dawn Mooney Conversations, I would be happy to come on and see what all this is about, because like we've said, and I'll reiterate it again, we need more positivity in this world. We live in a world now where, okay, one day this happens, the next day that happens. No one knows. Friends, shine a light, uh, be a light, just spread as we approach Christmas and the holidays, spread joy around, and things will be okay. Um, Michelle, any other information that I may have missed?
Well, you jogged my memory, which sometimes needs more jogging than other days. Today's one of those days. We're actually in 2022. I'm going to be launching a weekly kind of feel good show that's very similar to the radio show that I had, Middays with Michelle Dawn Mooney. So I'm looking at it as a weekly mood boost. So we're still kind of working on the details there, but that will be a weekly show that we are going to do that's just going to highlight some fun stuff that may be going on that week, or maybe we'll have some guests drop by, or maybe it's just something silly, but
I
it's going to
love
be
it.
something that's going to give you a chance to smile. So
I
look for
love it.
that.
I love it. I love it. Don't this will be stopped. Michelle, no, don't go anywhere, because ooh, what did I hit? Hold on. I had a I'm going to, where is it? More, come on.